What's editing, Holly? I was editing this video, and I gotta tell you, I don't know what I thought I was doing. Maybe I was making a documentary about window coverings, or I'm not sure. But as I went to edit this, it went on and on and on. It was ridiculous. So I chopped the daylights out of this video. So if it seems a little erratic or strange, and you see something that's like, oh, something happened there, you can just know that that's where I saved you from having to have an intermission in this epic window covering video. And that's all. Good luck. See you in the next one. Hey friends, it's Holly. Welcome to Dandelion Stitches. If you are new, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. If you are back again, thanks. Thanks for coming back. That's awesome. It's such an affirmation when somebody returns, and leaves a comment, and it's for those of us who have chosen to put something out on YouTube. It's nice. It's like a little hug. So anyway, today we're going to talk about making curtains. And before we get into the actual curtain itself, I'm going to tell you just a little story. I have lived in this house for 40 years. My kid's dad and I built this house. We have since parted ways, and I married my unbelievable husband. But, my kid's dad was a good guy, is a good guy. So it's all happy. Everyone's happy. He's remarried. I'm way more than you need to know. Anyway, we built this house. It's small. It's a ranch style house. It's nothing special. It looks like every other ranch style house you've ever seen. But it's home, and I'm happy, except the kitchen. I have hated the kitchen every single day of the 40 years I've lived in this house. It was set up, I can guarantee you, by a man who never had even the remotest intentions of entering a kitchen to do any work. It's laid out in this U, and the arm of the U sticks out so far that only one person can walk through from the kitchen to the dining room at a time. In fact, if you get more than one person in the kitchen at a time, you're dancing around each other. It's not good. So I'm always trying to find something to make me like my kitchen. And I decided a new curtain would be helpful. And from the Forest Floor collection, maybe I would like it better. As it turns out, no, I don't like it better, but I like the curtain. So that's a good thing. Handmade curtains are an awesome way to take a room like a bedroom or a kitchen, or a little space that doesn't require like draperies or blackout curtains or that kind of thing, that you can change up your look pretty quickly just by making a new curtain. So I went ahead and made a curtain for the kitchen, and I am taking you along on that process. So let's make a curtain. So we're going to make a curtain. Okay. I have a window in my kitchen that I want to put a little like valance curtain, and I only have 1 yard of fabric. So this is going to be a valance curtain out of 1 yard of fabric. So we're going to need the fabric, a cutting board, rotary cutter, ruler, a little something to do some math on, and the obvious, ironing board, sewing machine, blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about the math first. So this is how, I wish I could actually see what I'm doing. I think we're good. This is how I was taught to do a curtain 100 years ago in home ec class at Lincoln Junior High. So it's the width of the window, which in my case is 43 inches. And we're going to add half of that onto it. So the final width will be the width of the window plus half. So half of that is 21 and a half. So that gives us 64 and a half. Please, God, let that be true. Math, and I know, if you know me really well, you can stop laughing now. We're doing math. And then we need to add a little bit on for the seam in the middle because we have to cut it, and the side hems. So I'm going to add, because in this case, the width, I have enough fabric to make the width to be really as wide as I need it. So I'm going to go with 67 inches. Told you, we're talking math. That's the size of the fabric that we're going to need to sew to make it the width that we want it. So first thing we're going to do is cut it in half. Line her all up. And voila, we have, I would prefer to have my seam straight down the middle. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off the selvages. And I'm going to give myself a little space because I might want to use the selvage in a project. Because selvages are fun. Oh, don't do that. Okay. So, put in the saving selvage pile. Oh, be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, half of the 67, that was, we decided the width that it needed to be is 33 and a half. So I'm going to go ahead and, I probably do not need to tell you this, but before you get started with anything, iron out the majority of the wrinkles. It will just make your life easier later. Okay, so in essence, we have our curtain ready. So now we're going to put right sides together and sew the seam down the center. Press it open, and then we'll talk about hemming the other side. So the center seam has been sewn and pressed, and now we're going to work on the edges, the side hems, so we don't have wild and crazy fraying. I mean, unless that's your look, which is cool, very bohemian. So anyway, these are the sides. We're going to just fold over a little bit, maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch. Is that 1/4 of an inch? I'm not really sure. A little bit. This is like using your grandmother's recipe. A dash. We're going to fold it over a dash, and then we're just going to fold it over again. Press, press, press. Again, we're not going for perfection here. We're just covering up covering up the raw edges. And then we're going to do the same thing. On this side. If you are a type A personality and you need measurements and things to be specific, I apologize now. I understand that in quilting, that is of great importance, but however far I'm turning this over in this instance is not the big a deal. Okay, so we have two sides that are pressed over, and I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to stitch those up, and then we will do the casing. So seams are these little side hems are stitched, and now you need to decide what is top and what is bottom. This is absolutely personal preference unless you have directional fabric, which I do not. So I'm going to choose this up here to be the top. So we are going to do the press, the turn and press again. I have put some water in my iron so it will steam a little bit more effectively. Okay, this is a lot to watch. I'm going to pause. I'll be back. Okay, so it's time to get the curtain rod involved. So I folded this over because this is going to be the bottom of the rod pocket. And we've got our curtain rod. And we need to see here, it looks like it's not, well, looks like a little under an inch. But taking in consideration that it's this way. Also, this is the kitchen window, and it's going to fit right up against the wall above the window, and I don't want any frou-frou on top, so we don't need to like take into consideration that we're going to want a ruffle or anything up there. This is just your basic rod pocket. So we decided that the rod was a little under an inch, so we're going to need to fold it over an inch. I'm going to say 1.25 inches maybe. Let's see what we've got here. We've got, let's see what 1.5 inches does. Okay, so at this point then I get out the curtain rod and I lay it in there and I say, yeah, it's got a little room on each side, which is necessary for the seam, and I don't want it to be like so tight that I can hardly get it on. So I'm thinking that this is 1.5 inches is probably good. So I'm going to press 1.5 inches all the way down the width of the curtain, and then as I do that, I'm gonna pin. So let me go find the pins. Hang on. Okay, we got pins. It just occurred to me that this little doohickey that I put in this week's video may come in handy here. So I've got it pressed up to the 1.5 inch line. I press, and then I'm gonna take a pin. Make sure you get the end real good. And I'm going to continue to do that I'm going to press and pin all the way down. We're almost there. I almost impaled myself. The pin here. Not like that would be unusual. Okay, so we've got the casing pocket pinned and pressed. And I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to stitch pretty close to the edge of this little pressed over space. And then I'm going to bring it back here to the ironing board, and we're going to put it on the curtain rod and just see. Not that there's going to be any changes at this point, but still, I'm gonna have a look. So I'm gonna go sew, and I'll be right back. Alrighty then, we got a rod pocket. So this, these are always hard to get undone. Let's go ahead and put that through. There we go. If you're doing the testing out method, always check the biggest side. I'm going to put them back together. And I think it's good. Most curtain valances are 18 inches, but we only had 18 inches to start with, so this one is going to be a little bit shorter. So I'm just going to do the double fold up, fold again, stitch for the hem. Normally on a curtain, I would maybe do a wider hem, a slightly more professional looking hem, but I don't have a lot to work with here, so I'm just going to do just what the exact same thing I did here, I'm going to do on the bottom. And then I'm going to give it a good press with the best press or the whatever you use as some starch to get all the wrinkles out of it. And then we're going to put it on the window and have a look. Fingers crossed. So there you go, curtain making 101. Obviously there are many ways that you can take curtain making to much higher levels, but that's pretty much the basics. So, and you may have noticed when you looked at the picture of the finished curtain that I had raised the hem. I put them up, and I call it making friends. I left them up for a while, and I just kept walking past them thinking, I don't know, I think they need to be shorter. So finally, I decided they needed to be shorter. So since I had just done a little rolled hem, all I did was fold it up to where I think I took them up by 1.5 inches or 2 inches. Pressed them out, stitched it up, and it was good to go. And then I got all inspired and decided that the curtain in my sewing room that was covering up my stash was ugly and needed to be forest floor also. So I did those two. So that's it for curtain making. I realize that I hope that you realize that everything I produce here on Dandelion Stitches isn't going to be quilting. I sew all kinds of stuff. And I knit and embroider, and there may be some of that stuff floating around here at some point, but my friend Marcella would call my sewing projects quilting adjacent. So anyway, I hope that maybe you got some inspiration. Maybe you need some curtains in your life. So be well, be safe, and I will see you next week. Bye.